Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Householders face an unpleasant surprise this year. Domestic electricity prices will rise by an average of 11.5%. The government expects to introduce a scheme to compensate those in the lowest tax bracket for the increase. The leaders of the Agreement Party support this initiative.
A 100% refund of the amount that was raised for people in the lowest tax bracket. This is the only criterion. The support is addressed to the least affluent. I want to reassure you that we intend to make it so that being in the lowest tax bracket does not require the submission of certificates from the tax office. The entire program could cost a maximum of 3 billion, assuming that every eligible person were to claim their compensation. However, I expect that the amount may in fact be just a half of the maximum.
I think that it is reasonable that the compensation should go to the poorest who really cannot afford this increase of less than 10 zloty a month. The approach that will be presented in the bill is not bad. If it were to look like this, then we don't see why we should not support this project.
Deputy Minister of Justice Marcin Warchoł said that the Marshal of the Senate, Tomasz Grodzki, did not have the right to invite the Venice Commission to Poland. The Venice Commission delegation visited Poland at the end of last week as part of its continuing monitoring of the status of the rule of law in Poland. The Commission is expected to present its opinion on the draft Act on the Common Court reform, which is currently before the Senate, on Wednesday.
The Statute of the Venice Commission, international law and our constitution clearly define who is in charge of inviting the Venice Commission to Poland and who isn't. It also defines at whose request the Commission may give its opinion. These are the bodies that are in charge of it: the state, international organization, the Council of Europe through its bodies, the General Secretary and the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, among others. The Marshal of the Senate does not have such power. There is no information anywhere about the Marshal of the Senate having the authorization to do that, which is why the visit was not official and formal. Therefore, the effects of the visit will not be recognized.
British philosopher, writer and composer Sir Roger Scruton died on Sunday after being ill with cancer for 6 months. He was 75. President Duda, in a tweet, offered his condolences, describing Scruton as a great friend of Poland and of Polish freedom and sovereignty. Scruton had been awarded the Cross of Merit for services to the Polish state by President Duda. Corpus Christi, a film by Polish director Jan Komasa, is among 5 foreign films nominated for an Oscar by the American Film Academy. The film has been nominated in the International Feature Film, formerly the Foreign Language Film category. The 92nd Academy Awards ceremony will take place on the 9th of February in Los Angeles.
In the name of the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. Corpus Christi depicts the story of 20-year-old Daniel, who is released from a juvenile detention center after serving his sentence and poses as a priest in a small remote village in southern Poland. This Polish movie is competing for the Academy Award of Merit, as the Oscar statuette is officially named in the International Feature Film category, formerly known as the Foreign Language Film category. The other nominated films are France, Les Miserables, North Macedonia, Honeyland, South Korea, Parasite, Spain, Pain and Glory. The 92nd Oscars will be held on Sunday, 9th of February, at the Dolby Theatre at the Hollywood and Highland Center in Hollywood. I bet you're not going to make it.
I cannot remain silent, I have to speak. These words of Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI appear in a book written jointly with Cardinal Robert Sarra, the prefect of the Congregation for Divine Worship. The book, entitled From the Depths of Our Hearts, is about the nature of the Church and Christian discipleship. It includes an explanation of the biblical and spiritual importance of priestly celibacy. Some see the book as a response to the recent Special Assembly of the Synod of Bishops for the Amazon region, during which the question of relaxing the rule on celibacy was raised.
I can't remain silent. Celibacy is of great importance and is essential for our path to God to remain the foundation of our lives. From the daily celebration of the Eucharist, which implies constant service to God, spontaneously the inability to marry arose. It is not possible to carry out two vocations at the same time, so you should give up all compromises. If ideology divides, then truth connects hearts. Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, in a new book written with a conservative cardinal, defends priestly celibacy in the Catholic Church in what appears to be a strategically timed appeal to Pope Francis not to change the rules. Excerpts from the book were published on Sunday on the website of the French newspaper Le Figaro. The Vatican made no immediate comment on the book. In his part of the book, Benedict says that celibacy, which became a tradition in the Church only about 1,000 years ago, carries great significance because it allows a priest to concentrate on his vocation.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.
I'm Katarzyna Nowicka and welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tonight. Mostly cloudy skies all over Poland, with a low of 0 degrees in Kraków and Warsaw and a high of 4 degrees in Białystok. Some rain is to be expected in the northwest of the country, with rain and snow in Bydgoszcz. And now over to tomorrow. Some sunshine is to appear in central and southeastern Poland and heavy rains at the seaside, with more snow to appear during the day in Bydgoszcz. There will be a high of 8 degrees in Poznań. Let's take a look at the forecast for the next 3 days. Wednesday will bring a rise in temperatures and more sunshine throughout the country. The temperatures will range from 4 degrees in the southeast to 11 in the northwest. On Thursday, temperatures will slightly drop, ranging from 6 in the east to 8 in the west. On Friday, there will be a low of 2 degrees and a high of 7. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Poland Daily Business 2020 started in a violent fashion. We had the assassination of the top Iranian official, top Iranian general. We had lots of troops from United States moving to the Middle East region. And what is strange, normally we would expect a sharp rise in the oil prices that we would see in our station. I was checking today the prices in
they are
Poland,
going down. Yeah.
And it turns out that they are not that much different than than I saw at December 2019. Why the oil price is not changing?
You are not reading my predictions for 2020. In November, I wrote, if you read it, you would know that the oil price in the second part of 2020 would go substantially down. Then will be a price war on a crude oil market, and despite increased tension on the Middle East. That's what I wrote in November.
What's
and
changed in the world? We are used to the situation that when anything happens in the Middle East, the price of oil is skyrocketing, and all analysts say that there's going to be a scarcity of this product.
It's not the case any longer. You cannot blackmail the world. The countries all over the world, that stability on Middle East is needed. And we have this huge player, new player, a very active player, the United States on the crude market, which is right now the biggest producer and exporter of crude oil. And it changes the situation dramatically. And the same applies to natural gas. For example, what changed? The good example is Nord Stream 2. There were consecutive gas project by Russia in our region.
Over 50
and,
years
the
or
United
so.
States never put sanctions into play. They were against the Russian projects, Russian gas pipelines, but they would never move to a sanction phase. And this is the case right now.
What's changed?
Changed that instead of Nord Stream 2, you have $10 billion on the Baltic Sea lost by Russia. And because ending the project would be very, very difficult for Russia because it has no technological know-how how to put those pipelines across the Baltic
And
Sea.
the sanctions are quite harsh, targeting the companies that are actually building that project. Some say this is a competitive movement of the United States to protect their sales to Poland and other countries of the region.
And it's a little bit true. It's most of all it's geopolitical move and political statement. And if we go to this new world order, bipolar new world order, where on one side is the United States, on the other side China, Europe has to take its position alongside the United States. It's just a matter of time. And Nord Stream project is one of the...
So you are thinking that this is a political movement that is aimed to show the leaders of Europe, Germany, France, who are eager to cooperate with Russia, where are their leashes, so to speak?
Yes, and the response is quite good. For example, Tesla factory near Berlin. Can you imagine that German led the US automotive sector to enter into the heart of German market a few years ago? No, I would not predict this move by German.
Yeah, I was predicting that this Tesla factory will be in Poland actually because of the German monopoly on producing cars, and now
not many people...
severely beaten by Tesla, the top brands are allowing and opening themselves to this new electrical revolution.
Not too many people understand that the Tesla factory would be located just in the middle between Berlin and Polish border. So I would say Tesla likes to employ Polish workers in its factory.
But VAT will be paid in Germany.
Unfortunately.
Maybe it will also source some products from Poland because it's geographically near, and this is the opportunity for our producers. Anyway, our time is up. Jerzy Bielewicz, thank you very much for this conversation.
Thank you very much.
And that was it for Poland Daily Business, and we welcome you in the brave 2020.
I'm Katarzyna Nowicka, and welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tonight. Mostly cloudy skies all over Poland, with a low of 0 degrees in Kraków and Warsaw, and a high of 4 degrees in Białystok. Some rain is to be expected in the northwest of the country, with rain and snow in Bydgoszcz. And now over to tomorrow. Some sunshine is to appear in central and southeastern Poland, and heavy rains at the seaside, with more snow to appear during the day in Bydgoszcz. There will be a high of 8 degrees in Poznań. Let's take a look at the forecast for the next 3 days. Wednesday will bring a rise in temperatures and more sunshine throughout the country. The temperatures will range from 4 degrees in the southeast to 11 in the northwest. On Thursday, temperatures will slightly drop, ranging from 6 in the east to 8 in the west. On Friday, there will be a low of 2 degrees and a high of 7. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Good day, everyone. My name is Maria Kądzielska, and this is Poland Daily Culture. The Polish National Radio Symphony Orchestra is one of the most important cultural organizations in Poland. The director of the orchestra, Ewa Bogusz-Mur, is our guest today. Thank you for coming to us from Katowice.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
But before we start the interview, let's listen to some music. Madam, I am sure that not all our viewers know what is the Polish National Radio Symphony Orchestra and what is the main goal of this organization and how it all started. If you could tell us more about it.
Yeah, I would probably start from saying that's our national treasure. And what it is exactly is the orchestra, which was created in 1930s. So that was actually the time when international radio orchestras were created. So when the orchestra was trying to use a new medium, which was the radio, to promote, to perform music to people. And now in Katowice we have not only the orchestra, we also have the beautiful concert hall. So when we sang NOSP, which is the Polish acronym for Polish National Radio Symphony Orchestra, we are actually saying or thinking about the orchestra and the concert hall, which I would say is the acoustic is one of the best in Europe.
Yes, exactly. That's what I would like to ask, because you have a spectacular headquarters. And this building is very interesting itself. How it was built and who was the architecture and how it looked like, how it actually works also for your purposes.
It's actually quite new because this September we celebrated 5th year since the opening. The architect is actually from Silesia, it's Tomasz Konior. He won the competition. The competition was international competition, but happily, enough and good for us, the winner was Tomasz Konior. So he was the one who created the building and the concert hall. But for any concert hall, the essence is also about the acoustic. And acoustic was created by Mr. Toyota from Nagato Acoustic Company. We have absolutely amazing building, and I can always say that we welcome everybody, but whoever is coming to us, and I'm really talking about one of the top artists from the world, they all pretty amazed and they're actually quite jealous.
It's probably the best building when it comes to acoustic in Poland, definitely. Yeah. So if anyone would like really to perform.
But not only in Poland, that's the thing. I would say that when it comes to acoustic, it's sometimes the magic must happen because Mr. Toyota, he built many beautiful concert halls. For example, one of his creations is in Hamburg, Elbphilharmonie, also new and beautiful concert hall. One in Paris, Philharmonie in Helsinki, in Los Angeles. So really many beautiful concert halls. But sometimes, you can measure, you can do all the kind of measurements right, and it will be a good concert hall, but maybe not just
without
brilliant.
The spark.
Exactly. And I think what happened in our concert hall, I would say that this magic happened, that it's very good for the audience, but it's also safe for the musicians, that they, sometimes I would say the halls are too sensitive and the musicians feel as if they kind of naked and they have to be very careful, what they do and how they play, because you can really hear everything very selectively. In our concert hall, you've got this selectiveness, the sound, you can hear who is doing what, but at the same time, it's kind of blended in a kind of nice way, and it's just kind of nice, warm sound. So.
Only come and listen.
Exactly. Yeah, we can talk and we can describe it and use many words, but actually, at the end of the day, you do have to come and listen to it.
Absolutely. And so Polish National Radio Symphony Orchestra is not, it's of course the whole, but there's also a lot of people who work in the orchestra and around it. Could you please tell me how many people do you have in the orchestra, artists?
Mm-hmm. Well, the whole institution, it's about 200 of us, but the orchestra is 110, and the rest is the administration. And of course, somebody might ask, is this 110 always on the stage? It's not. All depends on what we play. So it depends on the music. The size of the orchestra can get a bit smaller or a bit bigger. For example, Strauss and Mahler, usually they demand a very big size of the orchestra. So sometimes we have to invite other musicians to join us because 110 is not enough. But it's a big institution.
And are they mostly Polish, or the group is more international of the...
The group is mostly Polish, and what is even more interesting, it's majority of them are actually from Silesia. It also because we have in Katowice a very good music academy, so we have many musicians coming actually from that academy. But to play in the orchestra, you always have to go through audition. So anybody can apply, and we do international calls for position, but it's not that easy. You have to go through this audition. The process is like 2 stages. Usually musicians would say that sometimes even to play solo, to play a concert is easier than actually go through audition. It's very rigorous and very stressful process.
I can imagine all exams are awful.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have to play in this kind of beautiful concert hall in front of musicians, it's pretty something.
I can imagine. And everyone is listening.
Yes.
So our Polish orchestra is not only performing in Katowice, but they are going all over the world with their concerts. Could you please tell us more where they already have been recently, and are there any more their trips planned?
Yeah, we National Orchestra, so our mission is to promote Polish music and to be, in a way, the ambassador of Poland and Polish culture. So one of the ways to do it is, of course, to be on tour and present the orchestra and the music in other places than in Poland. The orchestra, has been around for some time, so I could say that probably they played, on all continents, and they were in many places. But quite recently, and that was actually last year in September, we visit, I would say, our sister halls. So we went to Hamburg, and that was Elbphilharmonie, and we went to Copenhagen. And the reason why I'm saying sisters, brothers, the siblings, is because both concert halls were, as I mentioned, Elbphilharmonie before, were created by Mr. Toyota. So it was quite interesting for us to leave our concert hall and to go to Copenhagen or Hamburg and just to hear the creation, of the man who created our concert hall and really feel the difference. And of course, we all say that I was the best, but that would have been no surprise. We're very happy with our concert hall.
And of course, we all should be extremely happy about it and listen to them. And if any one of you haven't visited yet the hall of the National Radio Symphony Orchestra in Katowice, you absolutely have to do it. And thank you for watching Poland Daily Culture.
Welcome to Poland Daily History with me, Nicholas Richardson. In this series of episodes, we're going to be looking at Polish history from a British perspective and also Anglo-Polish relations in a geopolitical context. And I'm delighted to have with me in the studio today Richard Barclay, who is half Polish. He's been living in Poland for 20 years and is able to bring a unique perspective onto this subject. But then because we come to the Zone War and this very sensitive period where we, of course, and France had given this guarantee, and of course it was called on, and we declared war on on Germany.
And lost an empire in the process.
Yes, which would be 2nd of September 1939, if my...
3rd of September.
Or was it third? No, it was the 3rd, you're quite right, it's 3rd. And of course, the plan had been, of course, that the French army would move into...
Which was the biggest army,
Which was
actually.
the biggest, because apart from a sort of half-hearted...
No, we mustn't be nasty about the French.
No, but apart from a half-hearted, because it was half-hearted,
the Maginot Line.
invasion of the Saarland for about 3 days until they gave up.
Yeah.
They
were scared. They were scared. You see, the thing about the French was they were still in shell shock from the First World War. They had not recovered.
Despite having the Maginot Line, despite having the biggest army.
Despite having the biggest army, and despite actually being the most warlike nation on the European continent, the French were always the threat. They were they were the most militarised people, and I mean until Bismarck, knocked the hell out of them in 1870. But even that, instilled in them a real fear.
The irony is that now we know that, in fact, when Hitler invaded the Rhineland, his own general said, "We cannot possibly beat the French. This is madness."
Madness.
And Hitler just said, "Don't worry, they won't attack."
No, they won't attack.
And
he was right.
His bluff, and I think his first bluff was called and lost when he never expected the United Kingdom to declare war in September 1939.
And he didn't want it to happen.
No, he didn't want it to happen either.
But England had no choice.
Well, at that point, we had no choice.
No
and of
choice.
course, then we entered, which is really a good example, I think, of this sort of Anglo-Polish this sort of mutual misunderstanding.
Yeah.
We entered this period which we call the phony war because between September 1939 and the Battle of Britain, not much happened. Whereas, of course, for that 6-week period in Poland, you have complete and utter horrific destruction.
And they were fantastic. They were fantastic, the Poles, fighting on 2 fronts.
Exactly. And then, of course, on the 17th of September, the Russians invaded. And I'm reading a book at the moment, Timothy Snyder's Bloodlands.
Oh, yes.
And I just read before that Roger Morehouse's, which is an excellent book, First to Fight, which looks at this war and says, look, from an Anglo-historical perspective, we talk about a phony war.
But it was a very real war.
Nothing phony for the people of Poland. What I think is particularly shocking when you read this book is we sort of believe or half believe from history that the SS were nasty people, but the Wehrmacht was full of honourable soldiers. And you read this book and you realise that in actual fact the Wehrmacht was as beastly as everybody else.
Of course it
and
was.
This deliberate bombing of civilians, this deliberate killing of civilians,
of course.
which had no military purpose.
Well, you might say that about Dresden as well.
So you can understand, I think, why today, since Poles look at this period and think, well, they were let down by the British and the French.
Yes, but the thing is that you see what, and I've had this discussion so many times, they don't take into account the fact that Britain had been disarming. Britain sent its expeditionary force. That was the British Army.
Well, I think that's the other point. But by continental European standards, we'd always focused on the Navy and it had a very small army.
Yeah.
And if we're looking at sort of, if the roles had been reversed,
yes,
the first thing I would have said to Poland is, thank you for this guarantee. Where's your Navy?
Yeah.
And I wonder whether Beck and these other people thought about saying to the British, thank you for the guarantee, where's your army? Because the reality is that the French did have a big army, and that was expected.
The French in action, it was the high command of the French that really lost the war.
Because with all
if they could have taken Berlin when Hitler was invading Poland.
Exactly.
They could have taken it, and they didn't.
No, because they sort of gave, and then, of course, once that had been, and we had the Russian invasion, once Poland had sort of been neutralised, if I can use that word, then, of course, the Germans were then free to turn round and drive through.
Well, of course, they hadn't learned
Western
from history,
Europe.
had they? Because they would have. Stalingrad and all these places. Just the catastrophic management of that.
But of course, we get to the Battle of Britain, which of course is for most of our popular imagination. As Britons, of course, we always think of these dashing Polish pilots.
Yes, and they were all very young, and you know why? They were very young, and they didn't live very long because they were all very, very young. And the ideal age for a pilot was 19. Why? Because they didn't think it was going to be them that got hit.
Exactly.
If you can cast your mind back to when you were 19, I remember I used to have this wonderful Italian sports car. It was a Lancia Flavia, and it had one really bad habit. It can do 120 miles an hour beautifully, but it didn't stop always. You put your foot on the pedal, and the bloody thing, didn't respond sometimes, and one took that risk. And so I understand these 19-year-olds, the 20-year-olds, and of course the Poles had because of this period of total war that they'd come from, the Poles had a, experience of flying. And there's that wonderful scene, isn't there, in the Battle of Britain
the film.
Where the chaps say, keep formation, chaps, and the Poles are going, scatter!
Exactly.
And they've all gone. I mean, that's absolutely brilliant. Because they knew, they hugely influenced the thinking in the RAF, those big, the dogfights and all the rest of it, really came from them. The other thing is, where did Hitler's officer class come from? They came from the Junkers, and where was Junkerland? Junkerland was
East Prussia, which was essentially this part of the world. Poland,
exactly,
yes.
Where you had German landowners and Polish peasants, basically, which is interesting.
And of course, the war took its course, as we all know, and then we had the post-war settlement, which of course a lot of people here in this part of the world think that the Western Allies let down Poland at Yalta.
Well, of course they don't.
But of course, I think the point is in it, which is why Churchill had developed this soft underbelly via Yugoslavia, because he wanted Allied troops as far east as possible when the final whistle went.
Yeah.
And of course, Yalta was too late because it had always been Stalin's view that wherever the Red Army was when we decided to stop fighting.
I don't know if you're a game buff or not, but if you are, the Pinball Museum, that is the interactive Pinball Museum in Warsaw, is a place you have to go. It's right in the center, so you'll have little trouble finding it. Here you'll find a whole history of pinball machines, many of which have been lovingly restored. Not only that, you'll find all the games from the 1980s and before that you really love, like Space Invaders, for example, or Pong. This really is an interactive history of games. And the beauty of it is you can do it in a room with a lot of other people, your friends or even strangers. You don't have to sit at home all alone. It's 40 zlotys for up to 9 fun-packed hours. So come one, come all to the Warsaw Interactive Pinball Arcade. I'm Will Richardson, and this is Poland Daily Travel. Sometimes we really do have a lot of fun, and this is definitely one of those times. And if you like shooting ghouls, then this place is really gonna make your day, punks.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Poland Daily Travel. We're having a lot of fun at the Pinball Museum in Warsaw, and if you want to play pinball or play any of the old games, I mean, this is a place to be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there is another place.
That's come and play.
Now, Miriam has been, as you saw from the previous installment, she was shooting a lot of fictitious people and enjoying it quite a lot, weren't she?
Yeah, I loved it.
But now we're going to end the violence. And we're going to put.
Let's test her driving skills.
We're going to test her driving skills. Okay, let's go. Let's test her driving skills.
Watch out.
A woman behind the wheel.
Yeah.
This could get weird.
From 1985.
What's the purpose of the game?
You need to drive.
Just
don't
drive.
crash.
Just drive and don't crash. It's impossible for a woman to do that.
Go.
Especially if we hold her arms. We can't do that. We can't hold her arms.
Oh, okay.
Miriam, you're doing okay. It's all.
Come on.
Close your eyes, Miriam. You'll do better. No, you're doing all right.
Full throttle.
Good Lord. This is a fantastic. Ah! Oh!
First gear.
Those holiday makers.
Automatical.
Yeah, that poor family of 4. Yeah.
You are driving.
They're in a lot of trouble. Actually, this is. You could also come and do this if you wanted to pretend on a cold winter's day you were in the tropics somewhere. Yeah, because it looks like that. Listen, how many places in Poland can we do this? Can we come and play these kind of games?
2.
Just 2?
Just 2. One is in Krakow People Museum.
Uh-huh.
Second is in Warsaw People Station, our place. Only 2.
And it's gonna.
You can find the place like this in some big cities in Europe.
Okay.
The biggest one and the oldest one is in Hungary, in Budapest. And the name is Budapest Pinball Museum.
Pay attention.
The biggest one.
Game over.
Sorry.
Start her again. Start her again.
Again. just, but you are there. And again.
Select
again,
music.
yeah.
Okay.
You can
You ready to go?
choose
You're ready to go.
You
You can choose some music, whatever. These games are fascinating. Today, most people are doing playing games on the computer or online.
Yeah.
But these games, you call it interactive museum because you actually get a little bit physical, don't you?
Yes, of
Which
course.
is fun, like in the old days. Right?
You think
Keep
it's
going.
very good. You can,
Don't look over here.
you can play whole day,
Yeah.
but listen, it's impossible to do this because when you come here,
You get tired, yeah?
after 3 hours of playing, your hands will be like this.
You're just worn out because it is physical. It's not like sitting at home in an armchair and you're just
on the couch and use just fingers.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to use your whole body.
So it's 40 zlotys for a whole day.
Max 3 hours, maybe.
And you think that's all you can do? So you're getting, by telling somebody you could stay all day, you know they're not going to do it. They're not going to.
But sometimes there is
They go to sleep
that
somewhere.
will come at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
and will stay until 10.
Is that the closing time?
8 hours, yeah.
That's your closing is 10 p.m. Yeah. And
And
what's your
Fridays-
opening time?
13, 1 p.m.
1 p.m. is the opening time. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, we got here just after 1 p.m.
Fridays and
Yeah.
Saturdays we stay until midnight.
Miriam, what do you think? You having fun with that? Come over here. Come over here. Come over here.
But she likes the Ferrari car and she just threw the tree with the car.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Who do you think you are? James Dean? You just crashed your Porsche or whatever it was.
She lost her license.
She lost her license. Yeah. Okay, folks, stay with us. This has been Pavel Novak. He's the owner here, or co-owner here, with Joanna, who's just had a baby, who answered the phone. I mean, this is a serious woman. She talked to me the other day when she was in labor. Obviously, she sat a little cross when she answered it. She was like, "Hello, who is this?"
And she was.
I was like, "Wow!" I was like, "Oh, okay." Anyway, Miriam has experienced, had a thoroughly electric experience, and now Pavel's got to go because he's a busy fella, and we want to thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to go downstairs, back into the other section and talk. You going? Okay. See you, Pavel. Get out of here. Bye. We're going to go downstairs, and we are going to talk to an American fella that I just met. And we'll see why he's here and what he's all about. Stay tuned after the bumper. Come on, Miriam.
Where are you going? No, I want to see you play.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for coming back after the bumper. We have found an authentic American traveler who was here in the Pinball Museum. He came up to us and started talking he saw Miriam, and he knows a good thing when he sees it. His name is Mark Bianchi.
Bianchino.
Bianchino. You see it? I can't even get that right. And you're from New York, right?
Yes.
How did you end up in Poland?
I met a very beautiful woman on the internet, and she told me I don't fly. And we met, and it was, if I want to be with her, then I have to come here.
Where did you meet her?
On Facebook.
Yeah, and then you met her, you flew to meet her somewhere here?
Yes, I came to Warszawa. She came
You came to Warsaw?
Yes.
But you're living in?
I live in Jarocin now.
Jarocin,
Yes.
which is a famous rock and roll. Did you see the festival this year?
No, it's not. The music's not my cup of tea.
It's not your thing. It's not your thing. Okay, but you're in Jarocin anyway.
Yes.
They have the Woodstock Festival, the Polish Woodstock Festival, a huge festival. At any rate, so Mark, you've come all the way to Warsaw from Jarocin, because we were talking earlier, and Miriam said it's like a 10-to-1 ratio of attractive Polish women to attractive Polish men. I don't know what they base that on, but obviously you met one of those attractive Polish women, as you've just said. So Miriam, I just want to say it's backing up your point.
Yeah, it is. My dad did the same. My brothers did the same. All of them, when they came back to Poland, they found their wives, like within 3 weeks. So
What's wrong with me?
typical about immigrants.
What's wrong with me? Do you know any nice-looking ladies? I had one, yeah. Oh,
A Polish one,
I
yeah?
didn't kill her or anything. She's still alive. Yeah.
But you had a Polish wife, yeah?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so
Yeah, but
nothing's
okay.
wrong with you.
Okay, yeah. I mean, do you know any nice girls?
Well, you probably know more.
Okay. How do you meet somebody online? It's like you're a gamer, so you meet people.
I like certain types of music,
Right.
and I used Facebook to kind of keep track of the bands that I like and the artists that I like, and we met through a room like that. I didn't know where she lived or how far she was when we started communicating, and then that's when I found out she was 6 hours ahead. Asked a few questions, got an invite to she said, maybe someday you'll come to Jarocin for a concert. And I said, okay. And then a few weeks later, I said, I think I'm going to take you up on that. And she's like, no, you're not.
Yeah. She said no? She said
no. She said she did not believe me. That I was.
Oh, she didn't believe
No,
it.
she said, if you could go all the places in Europe, why would you go to Poland?
Gosh, but obviously, Poland's a great place. This is what
it's.
I've heard people say that. Why would you go to Poland? Yeah?
Well, it's a very cost-efficient place.
It's very cost-effective, or cost-efficient. It's the women are beautiful. If you're a guy, so let's see. It's
the nature is beautiful. You
the
run
country is
around.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, you run around how? You run around in the nature.
You run around everywhere.
Just run around? Just open to nature?
Yeah.
I like that. Okay,
I'm from upstate New York and have woods everywhere.
Which city are you from? Ithaca?
I'm from outside of Albany in a town called Latham, a very small hamlet. And we have woods and trees, and so when I came to
Jarocin appeals to you.
it's exactly the same thing. It's the same thing. You can go out in the woods, you can go to shop, but you also can get lost in nature, and so
But
it was very good.
you're not a bum or anything. You're retired. I mean, you retired.
Yes,
right?
I don't. Yes, I.
And may I ask you your previous line of work, sir?
I work
Before
for the state of New York.
You work for the state?
Yes.
Yeah. Were you a cop?
Oh no.
Joking.
No, I'm
There's nothing wrong with that.
no.
If you were a cop,
I worked first in unemployment division,
Yeah.
and then in a licensing division, and that's where I.
So you're just a state employee in the state of New York, and you've returned. You said you had one off camera. You told me you have one Polish grandparent.
Yes, my father's mother, my great grandparents on her side came from Poland.
Yeah.
And she married an Italian man.
Yeah.
And then my mother, both her parents were from Italy. They had 3 children in Italy, then came to the Bronx, and then had 3 more. So 3
nice.
Italian grandparents and 1 babcia.
And all of them somehow around New York City originally.
Yes.
Yeah. The Bronx would be. Yeah.
So how long are you
The
staying
northern
over
borough.
there?
Yeah.
I got my temporary residency, so that means I could stay for 3 years, and then I reapply and I can stay another 3 years. So
And since when are you over here?
I've been here for roughly about almost 4 years now, because it took a year to get all the paperwork done and get approved to stay. So you're only supposed to stay 90 days, but if you apply for a residency, you can stay as long as it takes for them to make that decision.
Yeah. Yeah. You do get a stamp in your passport or something.
I
like
wish
that.
it was just a stamp on
The
your
point is,
passport.
it's not hard, folks, especially if you're an American.
No,
from
it's
the
hard.
EU. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to come.
It's flaming hoops of razor wire.
It's not hard to come here and stay.
It's not the paperwork and the process. I
There's
don't.
a bit of paper.
I can't imagine someone. It was very difficult for me. I'm very intelligent. I can read forms. I can, but it was meant.
You're
it was
bureaucratic.
Yes, and
was
so
still difficult.
the beauty is you really, if you want to stay, you have to really, and then it's a nice gift in the end when they say yes, because you have a lot.
How long
of
did it take to get your temporary?
It was supposed to be 3 months. It took more than a year.
Yeah,
there
it
was
takes
quite
a
a
while.
backlog. So they basically said, we have all your paperwork, and and we have so many people applying. Please
So
give
many
us some
people want to
leeway.
come to Poland.
Yes.
That's a good thing, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah. And people say they don't like immigrants in Poland. Not true. Look at this one. Thank you for watching Poland Daily Travel with our new friend, Mark Bianchino.
Very
Did I
good.
get it right this time?
That's perfect.
And with Miriam, the wonderful, I may say, the beautiful Miriam Shaddad, who's been with us here at the Pinball Museum and on our walkabout in Warsaw earlier today. What a pleasure it's been to meet Mark and to have Miriam with us. Stay tuned. More Poland Daily to come.